Hello viewers, my name is Liam Smith and welcome to my YouTube channel. Happy birthday! It's a time to celebrate, a time to be with loved ones. Today we're diving into 3 chilling tales of birthdays gone horribly wrong. Prepare to have your candles snuffed out by fear as we explore these terrifying birthday horrors. So let's get started. Story number 1. Elizabeth's birthday was just around the corner, and she couldn't be more excited. Turning 18 was a big deal, and she had planned a grand party at her family's old mansion in Houston. The mansion had been in her family for generations, and it was known for its rich history and eerie stories of the past. But Elizabeth wasn't superstitious. She thought the stories were just tales to entertain children. As the day approached, the mansion was bustling with preparations. The grand chandeliers sparkled with 1,000 lights, the hallways were lined with dark oak furniture, and the walls bore portraits of her ancestors, all with their eyes fixed on her. Elizabeth had invited all her friends, and her excitement was palpable as she picked out her birthday dress, a beautiful crimson gown that her mother had worn on her 18th birthday. The evening of the party finally arrived. Elizabeth welcomed her friends with a smile and led them inside. The grand ballroom was decorated with balloons and streamers. The party was in full swing, with laughter, music, and dancing. Elizabeth's happiness was contagious, and everyone was having a great time. But as the clock struck midnight, the atmosphere in the mansion began to change. The music's cheerful notes took on an eerie tone, and the laughter turned into hushed whispers. Elizabeth noticed the shift, but brushed it off as her imagination running wild. After all, it was her birthday, and she didn't want anything to spoil the fun. However, as the night wore on, strange things started to happen. Lights flickered, and doors creaked open on their own. Some guests claimed to have seen shadowy figures moving in the corners of the room. Elizabeth's best friend, Sarah, was one of them. "Did you see that?" Sarah whispered to Elizabeth as she grabbed her arm. "See what?" Elizabeth replied, trying to sound nonchalant. Sarah pointed to a dark figure standing near the entrance. It appeared to be a woman in a tattered white gown, her long black hair covering her face. The figure was eerily still, just watching them. Elizabeth was starting to feel uneasy, and she decided to go over to the figure and ask her to leave. As she approached, the figure turned slowly to face her. Elizabeth gasped in horror. The woman's face was pale, her eyes hollow and filled with malice. "Who are you? What are you doing here?" Elizabeth demanded. The woman's voice was a chilling whisper. "I am Isabella, the spirit of this house. This mansion should have been mine, but your family took it from me. Now, I want what should have been mine, your life." With those words, Isabella lunged at Elizabeth, her bony fingers reaching for her throat. Elizabeth screamed and stumbled backward, narrowly avoiding the ghost's grasp. Her friends rushed to her side, but Isabella had disappeared. The party had descended into chaos. Guests were in a state of panic, and some tried to leave, but the doors had mysteriously locked. Elizabeth was terrified, but she couldn't let her friends get hurt. She decided to confront Isabella and put an end to this nightmare. With a shaky voice, she announced to the room, "We need to find Isabella's remains and set her spirit free. It's the only way to survive this night." As the group split up to search the mansion, they uncovered the dark secrets of Elizabeth's family. Isabella had been a distant relative, unfairly treated by her own kin, and her tragic death had left her spirit vengeful. The group eventually found Isabella's remains hidden deep within the mansion, and Elizabeth, with trembling hands, sprinkled holy water on the bones. Isabella's enraged spirit materialized one final time, her screams echoing through the mansion. But with the power of the holy water, Elizabeth uttered the words of release. Isabella's form dissolved into a wisp of smoke, and the mansion was enveloped in a blinding light. When the light faded, the mansion was still, and Isabella's curse had been broken. The doors opened, and the guests rushed outside, gasping for fresh air. Elizabeth was safe, but the night had taken its toll on her. In the aftermath, Elizabeth decided to leave the mansion and its painful memories behind. She sold the property, and her family's dark secrets remained hidden, sealed away with Isabella's spirit. But the horror of that night would forever be etched in her memory. As for the ghost of Isabella, she had finally found peace and was no longer trapped in the mansion. It was a bittersweet ending to a night that would be remembered in Houston for years to come. Elizabeth's 18th birthday party would forever be known as the night when the past and the present collided, when a vengeful spirit sought to claim the life of the birthday girl. But ultimately, it was a night of survival and redemption. Story number 2. Once upon a chilling night in the heart of New York City, a city known for its hustle and bustle, lived a boy named Jack. He was no ordinary boy. Jack had a peculiar story, one that would send shivers down the spine of anyone who heard it. It all began on a fateful night, a night that was supposed to be his birthday celebration. Jack was about to turn 13, a significant milestone in a young boy's life. The anticipation of becoming a teenager filled him with excitement. His parents had planned a grand birthday party for him at their elegant Manhattan penthouse. The penthouse overlooked Central Park, offering a breathtaking view of the city. It was the perfect setting for a celebration, but little did they know that this birthday would be unlike any other. As the clock struck midnight, marking the beginning of Jack's 13th birthday, something eerie happened. The city that never sleeps fell into a deep, unnatural silence. The winds whispered secrets, and the shadows danced with malevolence. The air grew cold, and a heavy mist rolled in from the park, obscuring the view from their penthouse. Jack's parents, Lisa and David, were oblivious to the ominous signs outside as they welcomed their guests. The penthouse was adorned with balloons, streamers, and a tantalizing spread of food. The laughter and chatter of friends and family filled the air, temporarily pushing aside the eerie atmosphere that had descended upon the city. Jack's best friend, Mark, was there, along with a group of classmates, all excited to celebrate his special day. However, Mark noticed that Jack seemed preoccupied. He couldn't put his finger on it, but Jack appeared distant and distracted. As the night wore on, Jack's unease grew. He couldn't shake the feeling that something was watching him, something lurking in the shadows of the apartment. He whispered his concerns to Mark, who laughed it off as birthday jitters. However, Mark couldn't ignore the creeping sense of dread that had settled in the pit of his stomach. Suddenly, the lights flickered, and a chill ran down the guests' spines. The room fell into darkness, and panicked gasps filled the air. Jack's parents fumbled for their phones, attempting to use the flashlight function to illuminate the room. When the light returned, everyone was startled to see a ghostly figure standing at the edge of the room. The apparition was that of a young boy, around Jack's age, with disheveled hair and tattered clothing. His eyes glowed with an eerie, otherworldly light, and a sinister smile played on his lips. Jack's heart pounded in his chest as he recognized the boy. "Who are you?" Jack's father demanded, his voice trembling with fear. The ghostly boy's voice was a haunting whisper. "I am Jack, just like him, and today is my birthday." The room fell into an uncomfortable silence as everyone tried to process the chilling revelation. How could this be? Jack was alive and well. The doppelganger before them, however, was a sinister presence that sent waves of dread through the guests. Jack's mother, Lisa, tried to remain composed, but her voice quivered as she asked, "What do you want from us?" The ghostly Jack's grin widened, revealing teeth that seemed sharper than they should be. "I want to take his place. It's my turn to live, and he will take my place here." The room erupted into chaos. Guests screamed, some tried to flee, while others cowered in fear. Jack's father, David, lunged at the ghostly figure, but his hand passed right through him as if he were made of smoke. In the midst of the panic, Mark and Jack found themselves trapped in a corner. The ghostly Jack approached them slowly, his eyes never leaving Jack's terrified face. "You can't have him!" Mark shouted, his voice filled with determination. The ghostly Jack laughed, a bone-chilling sound that echoed through the apartment. "We'll see about that." As the ghostly Jack extended a spectral hand towards Jack, the lights flickered again. The real Jack, with Mark's help, managed to escape the apartment. They ran through the darkened corridors of the penthouse building, pursued by the malevolent spirit. The city outside was equally eerie. The once vibrant streets of New York were now filled with ghostly apparitions and echoing whispers. It seemed that the entire city had fallen under the influence of this supernatural force. Mark and Jack had only one option: to confront the malevolent ghost and find a way to banish him. They stumbled upon a dusty old library in the heart of the city. The library held ancient tomes and books on the supernatural, and it was there they discovered a ritual that might save Jack. The ritual was not for the faint of heart. It required them to face their deepest fears and confront the malevolent spirit in a battle of wills. With the help of the books and their determination, they gathered the necessary materials and set up the ritual. As the clock struck midnight once again, the ghostly figure appeared before them. Jack and Mark recited the incantation, their voices filled with conviction. The room became a battleground of emotions, with fear and determination clashing in a fierce struggle. In the end, it was Jack's love for his family and the desire to protect his own existence that triumphed. The malevolent spirit let out a blood-curdling scream as it was consumed by a blinding light, dissipating into the ether. The city slowly returned to normal, and the ghostly apparitions disappeared. It was as if the malevolent spirit's hold on the city had finally been broken. Jack and Mark emerged from the library, exhausted but victorious. They returned to the penthouse, where the guests were still in shock, unaware of the supernatural battle that had taken place. Jack's parents hugged him tightly, relieved to see him safe and sound. The birthday party was over, and the night was turning into day as the sun began to rise over the city. Jack had survived his 13th birthday, a birthday he would never forget. It was a night filled with terror, but also a night of courage and resilience. And so, his 13th birthday became a cautionary tale, a chilling reminder of the darkness that could hide just beneath the surface of everyday life. Story number 3. In the dimly lit town of Hollowbrook, nestled deep within the heart of the United States, the locals whispered tales of a sinister birthday tradition that plagued their community for generations. Every resident of Hollowbrook knew the ominous legend, but none dared to challenge it. It was said that anyone who celebrated their birthday in the town would have to face the wrath of a vengeful spirit, a malevolent force that roamed the town under the veil of darkness. And so, it was in this eerie setting that our character, John, would unknowingly confront this age-old curse. John, a recent transplant to Hollowbrook, had moved to the town in search of a fresh start. The city offered a peaceful atmosphere, and John quickly found a quaint little house on the outskirts of the town to call home. Little did he know that his birthday, a day that should have been filled with joy and celebration, would soon turn into a nightmare. It was the eve of John's 30th birthday, and he had no friends or family nearby to celebrate with. His loneliness had driven him to the local pub, a place where he hoped to find some solace. As the clock ticked past midnight, the bartender, a grizzled old man with a haunted look in his eyes, leaned in to speak. "You know, stranger," the bartender said, "tomorrow's your birthday, isn't it?" John was taken aback, wondering how this stranger knew such a personal detail. He hesitated, but finally nodded in acknowledgement. "You're new in town, so maybe you don't know," the bartender continued, "but celebrating a birthday here isn't like any other place. You might want to skip it." Curiosity got the best of John, and he pressed the bartender for more details. The old man sighed, and with a trembling voice, he revealed the chilling tale of the Hollowbrook birthday curse. Legend had it that many years ago, a prominent citizen named Nathaniel Harris was betrayed by his closest friends during his birthday celebration. Fueled by anger and humiliation, Nathaniel dabbled in dark magic, cursing the town with a malevolent spirit. From that day forward, anyone who celebrated their birthday in Hollowbrook would be visited by this vengeful ghost, and their darkest fears would become all too real. John dismissed the story as mere superstition, believing that the bartender was spinning a yarn to entertain a lonely traveler. He finished his drink and left the pub, determined to enjoy his 30th birthday. The day began innocently enough. John spent his birthday exploring the town, marveling at the picturesque streets and the charming houses that lined them. But as night fell, he couldn't shake the bartender's story from his mind. Unnerved, he decided to return to his house early and lock himself in, determined to avoid any birthday festivities that might draw the spirit's attention. The old house creaked and groaned as John settled in for a quiet evening, attempting to forget about the curse that loomed over him. He pulled out his laptop and tried to distract himself with a movie, but the eerie atmosphere of the house made it impossible to concentrate. The shadows on the walls seemed to dance and whisper sinister secrets. Around midnight, John heard a faint, mournful wail that sent shivers down his spine. He froze in his tracks, listening intently as the wailing grew louder, echoing through the house like a ghostly lament. As the chilling sound reached its peak, John's worst nightmares began to materialize around him. The walls of the room appeared to close in on him, their peeling wallpaper morphing into grotesque, contorted faces that leered at him with hollow eyes. The furniture, once ordinary, took on nightmarish forms, their legs elongating and arms stretching as if reaching out to grasp him. The room itself seemed to twist and warp, defying the laws of physics. John was trapped in a nightmarish realm where his deepest fears and anxieties were manifesting before his eyes. He stumbled through the distorted house, desperately trying to escape the horrors that pursued him. But with each turn, the horrors grew more grotesque and malevolent, threatening to consume him. The malevolent spirit, the curse of Hollowbrook's dark history, had come for John. It reveled in his terror, feeding on his fear and despair as he struggled to navigate the nightmarish landscape that his once peaceful home had become. Hours passed, and John's sanity began to fray. It felt as if he had been trapped in this horrific nightmare for an eternity. He realized that if he didn't confront the spirit, he would be forever lost in this nightmarish dimension. Summoning all his courage, John decided to face the curse head-on. With trembling hands, he closed his eyes and whispered a plea for mercy, hoping to appease the malevolent spirit. He promised to leave Hollowbrook and never return, to honor the town's dark history and the curse that had plagued its residents for so long. As John's voice quivered with desperation, the nightmarish world around him started to crumble. The walls stopped contorting, the furniture returned to its normal state, and the wailing grew fainter until it disappeared entirely. John opened his eyes, back in the dimly lit, creaky house that was once his home. Exhausted and traumatized, John wasted no time packing his belongings. The first light of dawn found him on the road, leaving Hollowbrook far behind. He had narrowly escaped the clutches of the vengeful spirit, but he knew he could never return to that cursed town. The tale of John's encounter with the Hollowbrook birthday curse would become a cautionary legend for the town's residents, a reminder of the sinister forces that lurked in the shadows, waiting for their moment to strike. And for John, it was a birthday he would never forget, haunted by the horrors he had witnessed in the cursed town of Hollowbrook. These three tales of birthday horrors serve as a chilling reminder that even the most joyous occasions can be twisted into terrifying encounters. Thank you for joining me on this journey into the macabre world of birthday horrors. Sleep tight, and remember, sometimes the scariest things hide in plain sight, waiting for the perfect moment to turn your special day into a nightmare. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.